get the Podbean live stream going. Oh, we got our very first live. Good morning, Carlos de la Cruz.
Woohoo! Good morning.
On the air live from Podbean. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Good morning, Michelle.
Morning, Sissy.
And good morning, Hillary.
Good morning.
The soccer game is good. All right. we are going live. Let's roll the intros. Whoops. Hold on. I forgot to press record on my main software. Patrick, this is your job as a production engineer.
Yeah, right?
Oh. New title, Patrick. All of a sudden, new hat. This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Yeah, everybody. Weather and traffic at the top of the hour. It's 10 o'clock here in the Midwest. It's a fucking 102
It is roasty.
It's brutal.
We are sitting right underneath a massive heat dome.
Yeah.
Just happens to be swirling above us for a couple days, so it's brutal. Dog days of summer.
We're not as bad as Texas. They've been getting the brunt of it this entire summer, but
Yeah.
when it comes and visits here, man,
Yeah. I ran yesterday. I got a whole confessional about yesterday. I'm gonna share with everyone.
Hold on, let me strap in.
You were there.
Go ahead.
You were there,
I
babe.
know.
God. Yeah, I still got a lot of work to do on myself, man. It's a never-ending journey.
And that's part of life, I think.
It is.
We'll be
Yeah,
working
we
on
get-
it.
we-
If we don't, keep working, then we just fade away.
we get to keep working.
Yeah, we get just a happy little mistake I made yesterday.
Happy little tree.
Yeah. So we'll get into it. I'll just start off. Yesterday I woke up. I went on a 4.5 mile run with Ozzy, and it shocks me every year when I'm out there. The humidity got to me. I didn't realize it. So here's what happened. I came home, cooled off, got in the shower, was all ready to go, loaded up our stuff. And as we were driving to Legacy Park, we went to Patrick's son's first soccer game yesterday. It was amazing. Pure controlled chaos of 5 and 6 year olds.
Yep.
Yeah, just beehive around the ball. It's amazing stuff.
I call it magnet ball.
Magnet ball.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, but what'd you say, Michelle? A wee bit louder? I think we're good. We haven't changed any settings. We're all coming in nice and warm. Turn up your volume.
Am I coming in hot?
No, you are not. So anyway, watching the magnet ball. Anyway, on the way there, we were talking about directions and stuff, and I started getting, I guess, a little spicy. And Judy's like, "Why are you so fucking defensive? What's going on?" I'm like, I just got a little, I was like, you know what? When we were watching The Crown, you kept saying that the Queen's castle, she was visiting her mom. She's clearly not visiting her mom. I'm like, I
thought her mom had bought a castle in Scotland and she was visiting her mom and her castle in Scotland.
And I'm like, babe, sometimes you think you're right and you're always just holding on to it. And Judy's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I was like, yeah, what is happening to me right now? I completely started throwing a fucking fit. And it's because, I don't know why it was. Because I think it was a culmination of the heat. I realized that what we did yesterday is something I wouldn't have done in the past. And
it was an unknown event for the brain.
Yes, but it's not a big deal, to the normal person.
Yeah, but when we were in our drinking, and if that situation would have come up, you would have been like, hell no.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Not happening.
I'm gonna give you credit though too, because that situation rolling up to like a youth soccer park, not knowing the layout, like that. When you enter into like a highly populist culture that has like their own things going on, like it can be very intimidating.
And it was massive. There was multiple games going on, not just the one. It was just tons of people.
So it's just, it was unknown. I wasn't, I have kids, and I remember the first day that I showed up doing that, and I was like, what is this? This is like, like everybody in their soccer vehicles and getting it's just like, I'm like, am I that suburbanite dad now? Like, like I was like, do I show up and do I get the stickers on the back of my car with all the
stick figure family?
The stick family? And it's like, what is going on? But you know what? There's all sorts of different people there. It's just an event that you hadn't done. And like I said, like I noticed you ran through those, the beverages, the carbonated waters, well, one, because it was hot, and two, because it was like an unknown situation, but you showed up, you guys were awesome. Like my son is just still talking about that. So like that, thank you for coming out.
Oh, it was our pleasure. But yeah, I didn't realize it would have such a profound, like a minor little subconscious anxious moment. I was definitely stuck in an old behavior of, and Judy had to kind of call me out, and I felt bad. Anyway, so then for clarification, when Patrick says carbonated beverages, obviously
it was bubble water. Yeah.
Seltzer water. But no, it was because I had not hydrated. So you think it was a nervous energy too, drinking those quickly?
It is for me. And
we used to do that when we used to drink beer too.
Oh yeah, I would have had to
get in that nervous or social interaction kind of quality, and those beers just start going down.
Yeah.
I knew that. I don't think I equated it to that yesterday, but I did have a need to have something to maybe satiate myself, and of course, water is not going to do that. But I did catch myself for a moment realizing that that would have been like 3 pretty heavy IPAs really quickly just to get some alcohol in my system, just to start to relax me. And the other thing is, I realized that within that hour, we would have had a much bigger cooler, and Judy and I probably would have drank like 4 to 6 beers in that hour really quickly. No problem.
Easily, especially with the amount of heat and humidity that was going on during the game, and then the stress factors in there. Oh yeah, we would have at least taken an 18-pack with us and demolished about half of it.
Easy. Oh, okay. So we got back home, and I ate, and we started doing some video gaming. Fast forward, I took my controller, and I was like, I tried to crush it, and I fucking threw it on the ground, and I went upstairs and laid in bed and took a nap. You know what I think it was? It was another event of mourning, behavioral mourning. Like I just went. I gotta give myself credit, but I was ashamed at how I reacted, because I threw a fit. Yeah, babe, can we what are they doing?
The children are playing. Hold on.
All right. Get Ozzy's collar. Do the threat management. I think it's in here. Please. But yeah, so I think that's what it was. I want to talk about it with you. I was like, man, I got up from my nap, and we went down and we had dinner, and I told Judy I apologized, because I felt super guilty, and I felt ashamed at how I reacted at something, because I you know, we've all been doing a ton of work on stuff, but then I had a little bit of a breakdown. I do need to remember that I guess we will have those times, but I got to make sure that I can handle it a little bit better, because I didn't go all fucking, you know, full chaos mode, but it was a reaction that Judy hasn't seen in a while, so it made her anxious. Because I'm like, I'm super sorry. Are you okay? Are you upset with me? She's like, no, I'm not upset, but you made me a little anxious because, you know, she witnessed a little bit of loss of self-control. So I was thinking about that on my run this morning. Like, if I need to do better of taking myself out of those feedback loops. And what I should have done is say, hey, I'm not feeling this right now, the video gaming, because I was not getting any enjoyment out of it anyway. It started with my
No, you were just
Skyrim
getting
mod
sheer
was
frustration.
not performing how I
No way.
Yeah.
Right.
and I was tired, and I was still dehydrated, and so I should have just, you know, said, hey, let's put this on pause. I'm gonna go lay down for an hour. Even Judy's like, it doesn't seem like you're enjoying this at all. You want to go take a nap? I was like, no, damn it, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
So,
well, you did. I do have to say, you did very well in the fact that you recognized that you were going into those old behaviors, or that those old behaviors were manifesting in you at that point. Before, you wouldn't have recognized it. You would have just rolled with them and just absorbed them and said, okay, this is how we're going. Fuck it. Let's, you know, pound a few more beers. But this time you recognized you were actually going into that space, and you were, I'm very proud of you for doing that. That's like the first step in self-care and self-aware. And you were fantastic.
I appreciate
in
it,
that
man.
respect.
And thank you for being tolerant. Like I say, like I've said a couple times, I would not fucking put up with me. I wouldn't hang out with me sometimes.
I mean, I get it. I mean, we also haven't had heat for a while, and when that comes on, that makes you a little bit more tired too. Yesterday, like, I had a very similar event. Like, at the end of the day, when I wanted to play some games, I wasn't just into it. I had, you know, my go-to, like, I like the Lagunitas Hoppy Refresher. So it's like the hop version of seltzer water. And had it, and after smoking ribs, had like a bunch of those because it was hot out too. And I ate like a bunch of ribs real fast and had a bunch of carbonated water. So I had like hiccups for the like last 4 hours of the day. And I was just like, I sat down and I just wasn't feeling it. And I was just like getting super frustrated. And like, I remember I didn't have the controller thing, but I've had many of those in my gaming career. I mean, I don't know how many times I've chucked a controller in the past, you know, but I mean, kudos, like Judy said, kudos to you to just be like, you know, like when it gets to that point to be able to let it go and be like, all right, I need to go lay down, you know, or
yeah,
it's tough when you're in the it's just tough when you're in the midst of it too. Right.
Well, you keep trying to grasp onto that feeling. Why am I not enjoying something that I know I enjoy? Why am I not enjoying gaming? Why am I not experiencing that level of enjoyment with something I know that I get that level of enjoyment from? And that in itself is frustrating because you're not getting that joy, that rush of, you know.
That's a good point too. It kind of doubles itself.
You're not getting fed.
There. Right.
So yeah, there we are. That's my learning moment.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to do better. My learning one is like, I finally got back into routine this week, but since I had been out of routine and the heat came on, like Sunday or Saturday morning, I woke up and my hamstring, like you could play it like a fiddle. Like it locked up bad. Like I thought I was like, I'm not going to be able to make it to the game. You know, like it was pretty intense.
Dang.
And so I had to spend the whole morning just taking care of it and hydrating or stretching everything out. And I was just, frustrated that I didn't get my full run in on Friday because of that. So it's just, the learning to take care of yourself is also like, it's tough that you're like, I want to take care of myself. I want to, I want to do the gaming. I want to do the run, or I want to do all this stuff. And sometimes taking care of yourself is just learning to let go of whatever you're expecting, and doing it. And like, life is what happens when you're busy making plans.
I know. I could have handled it better. I will work on it. I had an experience and I learned from it. I'll do better. Okay. So yes, babe.
Are we going to do gratitude?
I was just going to say
Sweet.
I jumped into that, but I want to do gratitude. Who wants to go first? Rochambeau. Rock, paper, scissors.
I think, Judy, you pumped for it.
Go, babe.
Okay, so I was thinking about this while I was taking a shower this morning, and I thought, I'm grateful to be able to feel my feelings. Not all of them are good. A lot of them are shitty, but I can feel them. I can absorb them. I'm not smothering them with drugs or alcohol or anything like that. I'm grateful to be able to feel all of my feelings to the extent that I'm able to feel them. And that is, a lot of times it sucks because I don't want to feel those, but it just makes me aware that I can feel, whether it's good or bad. I can still feel my feelings. And which means even if I feel those deep down depression or anxiety or anything like that, I can also feel the great elation, the joy, the love. I can feel those to the extent that I can feel those as well. And I'm just grateful to be able to feel my emotions that way.
I love it, babe.
Yeah. Well said.
Patrick, you want to go? You want me to go?
I can jump in.
Jump in.
And gratitude for, friends going through this journey. When I reached out earlier in the week and I was like, yeah, Flint's game is in the middle of what we would normally do. You're like, all right, let's just move it. I'm very grateful for that understanding because as important as this show is, I'm thankful for those that support and listen. But ultimately for me, this show is like more cathartic than anything else, like to share, like you joke, Judy, like it's our therapy or whatever. Like
very much so. Yeah.
Knowing that to being able to talk and share is ultimately an extension for us to be able to use in our toolkits. And you know what? You were able to immediately say like, all right, let's move it. And it didn't have to be like a thing that I worried about. Like, am I failing at not supporting the podcast? Do I have to choose between the podcast and supporting my son? And then you immediately turned it around without prompt. You're like, hey, do you care if we come? And it became this like totally awesome thing. Tiny little tree that grew in the garden or plant that grew in the garden. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, despite, whatever you were personally dealing with, the fact that you also showed up and my son was just like, in his eyes, that was just a totally awesome thing, right? Whatever you were thinking about the situation, whatever I was thinking about the situation, he was just pumped. It's just awesome.
That's awesome.
It was fun to go watch him. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's a no-brainer. Life is going to happen. Could you imagine, Patrick? That turned into let's fast forward 10 years from now. Your son's, 16.
Where were you with all my soccer games?
Where the fuck were you at my first soccer game? Hey, boy, I do.
Right?
Yeah. No, it was our pleasure.
Well, I don't know how many. I mean, think about how many other jobs or relationships that you've been in where, that people of addiction mindsets, which, growing up, we've had many of those people in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When they impress that sense of urgency, like, no, we have to do this. It's either this or, you got to choose,
Yeah.
I've
been in a lot of relationships like that where I had to choose, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah. Like another old behavior I think that rides around on us too. So, like Judy said though, I 100% can promise you that when we were drinking, I would not have done that. I would not have that flexibility. I certainly wouldn't show up for someone else if it didn't benefit me.
Yeah, I hear that.
So that's one thing I started realizing maybe 8-9 months ago, which was over a year into my sobriety. I started to, as I was dealing, going to therapy and dealing with the new me that was happening and trying to figure out all these emotions, was that was a surprising, pleasant discovery of myself. I'm like, oh my God, I do have some patience and I do enjoy things. And I do get value out of making connections with other people. So, not a lot of fucking people, don't get me wrong. I don't like big crowds. Can't handle it. But yeah, so, well, that's good. That's good, Patrick. That's a good awareness of gratitude. Same thing, there's
that's
emotions that we figured out how to have. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Only like 50 years late to the game. That's fine.
Hey, at least we got there.
I was filling out. I'm doing my annual physical, which is really nice. So I've skipped. I didn't go last year. I was a year into sobriety. So this year, my doctor and I are going to have a long discussion about stuff. He's been very proud of the steps that me, Judy, and Dad have taken. Dad gave up the whiskey more than a year ago. March, it was a year. So his health is better now than it was 10 years ago. I shit you not, man. He's doing so much better.
Yeah.
But anyway, last night I was filling out the online thing. You can update your form so you don't have to do all that stuff when you get to the doctor. And I got to the section where it's like family history. And I was like, I think I filled all this out before, but they want you to do it every time. It's like depression, anxiety, mental health issues, drug use, alcohol use, smoking. I found myself, I was like, I just wanted to set up a quick appointment. And I was going through there. I was like, yes.
It was the best of times.
Yes.
It was the worst of
it was
times.
Like, you got to list mother, father,
right.
I'm like, you know what? There's too much shit to fucking list on here. I'm going to give some.
I don't have enough spaces.
Yep.
It's like, that's either sad or, yeah. But then I realized as I was doing that, I'm like, you know what? I was starting getting like, oh my God, my fucking family history is just pathetic. No one's alive anymore. They all fucking killed themselves from alcohol and or opiate addiction. Literally, there's just no one left except my brother. So I don't know if the audience knows that. I think I shared that before, but there's mom, dad, there's no one left. They're all dust in the wind from alcohol and or opiate use and abuse. Actually, a combination of those. So, and it's something.
I think you might have a couple cousins, but I think they're in jail or prison.
I don't know, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I know it's tough to be able to reflect on that, but at the same time, what a wonderful fuck you, right? Like, despite all these things,
yeah, you can sit back and say,
I'm still standing.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
The harsh reality of that whole component that we just talked about was that you're right. I'm there now, but while I was deep in the throes of my alcoholism, there was a lot of times when I thought, man, I have to moderate this somehow. Otherwise, I'm going to end up just like my dad, or I'm going to end up, you just name it, grandfather, grandmother, mother. The only thing I ever got a firm grasp on was knowing that. So I've had to go a couple different episodes to the doctor to where they're like, something, I'm not going to go down the laundry list, but hurt my back, had this weird finger thing, and they immediately, they're like, let me prescribe you some Norco or some bike. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it is not that painful. You know, I don't need OxyContin for a fucking finger joint swelling.
Right.
Man, shit gets handed out like candy anymore, but it's in my records there. I'm like, I've had to tell doctors, and I encourage you, if you're an alcoholic, you got to be aware of this too. We're addicts. You know, there's,
an addict is an addict.
Yeah. I'm wildly afraid of going down that road of taking anything for pain management because I know it'll become an issue. I know I will have to start figuring out addiction management from the moment I take that first pill. When I was in the Army, I had a clogged salivary gland. It was like a little lump in there, and they have to go in and do just minor oral surgery, and they gave me Percocet for that. And it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was just like I had a fat lip for a couple days. But I remember after that very first pill, and I had a bottle of 30 for, you know, and I would just, and then I was on bed rest too. It was very generous. It was like, oh man. It was just like a warm, comforting embrace of no worries and super nice sleep. And I went through that whole bottle in like 4 or 5 days, just super fucking high on Percocet. Mm-hmm. And I went back to the oral Army surgeon dude, and I was just like, hey, I'm still in a lot of pain. It was fucking long gone. I didn't have pain after the second day. It was nothing. It's just a tiny little incision on the inside of your lip. And without hesitation, he prescribed some more. And it was at that minute, and I had to be like 23. I was driving back to the barracks, and I had the bottle in my hand, and just something came over me. I was like, I'm 100% becoming my mother right now, because she was, you know, fucking had her pirate's chest full of fucking loot of every kind of narcotic you could imagine, and she was in that at that age. I remember. So, not the responsible thing to do. Don't do this. Dispose of your medication properly at a pharmacy. But I just took the bottle and I fucking chucked it out into a field as I was driving down the road. I was like, I can't do this. So, I'm well aware of that stuff.
Thank you for sharing that. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very vulnerable moment to look back on.
Yeah.
You know.
When Judy was taking Norco, she broke her ankle. Long story. We're probably never going to talk about on this show. It was very horrible. A lot of between Judy and I. But there was a lot of growth that happened during that time.
It's not a good episode.
It was not. But so she started slowly becoming addicted to it, taking a lot more and more as the pain was going away. And then I didn't tell her this until a couple of years ago. Whenever I'd bring her, because she was in bed, when I'd bring her one, I would go downstairs and I would take one with a beer.
Tax. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, if Judy's getting high, I'm gonna do the same thing. I didn't do it to that extent. And you know what was shocking was I started telling her, I'm like, I'm concerned now. Because it fucking freaks me out, obviously, because of my history with my family and what's happened to it. And Judy's like, the doctor says as long as there's pain for it to work on, then it's good. I was like, bullshit. And by the way, I saw a thing the other day when there was a neuroscientist is like, we're not sure where that bullshit excuse ever came from. That is not a thing. The moment that a human being takes an opioid, you are 100% developing a rapid addiction to it, whether you're in pain or not. Mm-hmm. So there's this huge misconception of people that are like, well, if I'm in pain and I take an opiate, then if it has a pain receptor to work on, then I'm not going to get addicted. That is 100% not the case. Neuroscientists, again, I'm talking in circles. They're like that. We don't know where that ever came from. You're going to get addicted.
I think this is like wrapped up in the fact that we don't talk about mental health because
right.
I'm going to say first and foremost, you know, I've had these conversations before, but opiates are, you know, pharmaceutical advances have been amazing. You know, the fact that we can do multiple complex surgeries and help prescribe these to have people get over them. But the fact that we don't talk about mental health Like there's no like, and we have an opiate addiction in this country now because of the ease of those things.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm not here to demonize them, you know, like definitely the ease of access of them does not help. But the fact that we don't talk about that exit strategy or that off plan, or like knowing that like, hey, pain is part of your journey of recovery here. These are your wayfinders, right?
Right.
We've talked about this before. Like your body is undergoing a drastic change, either from a surgery or from this. Like you're going to be in pain. It's letting you know to take care of that. You know, if you know your lip or whatever, you just don't pop a couple Percocets and be like, all right, I'm gonna eat a whole bunch of fucking garbage and yammer on. You know, like it hurts because it doesn't want like a lot of like sensation, right? So you need to like not be talking and like be mindful of what you're eating, and like that's a tool that the body's letting you know, hey, protect this. And then the painkillers are there to help reduce that to a point of manageable influence or a manageable situation for people to get through. But that's the point. We don't talk, well, if I take these now, what is a tolerable pain threshold? What are the things that I need to look out for of getting addicted to it? Like it's crazy how easily the opiates are handed out without like, hey, you need to be, this opiate that I'm going to give you is not to be treated lightly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is not a tic tac, I've only had one doctor at least was like, after I separated my growth plate, I think I was in the 8th grade. I ended up rollerblading down some stairs and broke my arm. Big surprise there. Yeah. Like that's one of those, here's your sign.
Yep.
But the doctor was very like, I don't know if he could tell my ADHD tendencies or whatever, but he was just very clear of like, look, I'm going to give you these, but, and you're going to have for the first day and a half, you'll definitely need them. But after that, like, you need to be finding your way off of them or not.
Yeah, start
them,
tapering.
Right.
Right. So
And-
for people like me, as soon as a doctor, if they say something like that, I'm like, oh, well, that's not going to happen. And this is going to be a nice ride.
Right.
But you're right. That exit strategy is not there. You know what? Because it's too upfront. There's no time for it. First of all, like we talked, when you're going to your doctor's appointment, they're not going to be like, I'm going to prescribe you this, take it for a couple days, but please be very mindful that you can become addicted to this. And I want you to start to taper off. But there's not that. It's just, these are for 30 days. Here you go.
Right.
Because it's no time for that. And Judy and I experienced that fucking firsthand. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not embellishing. I can't believe this came out of a doctor's mouth. We went to her follow-up appointment, and I told the doctor there, and she was a surgeon, I said, hey, I'm very concerned about Judy was right there with me. I told her I was going to talk to the doctor about this. So there was no surprises. It wasn't an ambush or anything like that. But I said that, hey, I'm concerned with how much of this pill, Norco, that Judy's taken. And I'm worried that with our, I don't think I said at the time with addiction or anything, because I wasn't going to admit it then.
Right. You danced around it, but painted the picture.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm concerned. She's like, we'll deal with addiction later. I was like, what? She said that in my exact, we'll deal with addiction later. I was like, I didn't say anything. I was just in shock. But in my mind's eye, I was frustrated. I was disappointed in the system. And when it was one of those, man, I wish I would have fucking told her this. And I think about that years later, and I wish I would have said, the fuck you will, because you won't. You're a surgeon. You're not gonna, after your job here is done with this, you're not gonna ever see her again, and we're not gonna talk about it. So you're not gonna be dealing with the addiction.
So think about that as a surgeon, like, or like a, let's change the analogy a little bit here. Like I'm thinking like I take my car into a auto mechanic and like I've shredded all the tires on it from driving like a complete jerk.
Would
and
you run over a stop stick?
Yeah, right. And no maintenance. Yeah, just think about it. Just my behavior over a longer period of time has caused this deterioration. I come to the mechanic and he's like, "All right, here's a new set of tires. There you go." And I'm back within a week. Same issue. He's more than happy to sell me a new set of tires because his validity is based on, just getting the tires fixed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there to solve the root of the problem. So with doctors and like surgeons, like I'm here to fix your broken arm. What I'm validated on is if your arm heals, if you end up with an addiction problem 6 years down the road, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem.
That's right.
The problem is when we see a doctor, we say, doctor, you're here for the health of the overall health of me. And to be honest, I don't think, I've had to deal with 40 years of coming to where I'm at, like dealing with my own personal things. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't think, just because they have a doctor in front of their name doesn't always mean that they have the entire holistic view of being able to take care of a patient. And this is not to degrade or demean anything, because there are very talented people in these fields. And I really appreciate for the amount of work that they do. But for, a surgeon to say like, well, tell me how you deal with pain. Right. Their skill set is not developed in those areas.
Right.
Especially specialists. They're focused on one specific thing. They're not focused on anything else. So their focus is what,
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix your bones or whatever you're dealing with. And, if there's an addiction problem, we'll deal with the addiction later.
Yeah.
That's where that type of mentality comes in.
Who's the we? You got a mouse in your pocket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Do I get to come back to you when I'm fully addicted?
I'll kick that can down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, then people, they're addicted. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole on this, but I'm glad we're having the discussion. This is the circle that you see painted that can happen to anybody. It happens to your neighbor. It happens to middle white America all the time. And that is, I'm 3 months in and your doctor is like, no more, and just cuts you off.
Yeah,
and
we're not cutting you off.
The withdrawals and going through that is just wildly mind-boggling. So what's the next best thing?
Heroin.
Is when you're, and now fentanyl and all that other shit. Easily available in areas if you know how to get it. So
I don't know, for some reason right now, the image of on Jackass 3D when so Steve-O, out of all people of the whole Jackass clan, has come out clean a long time.
He's an evangelist now. I watch his podcast once in a while.
He's also loves to rescue dogs and that sort of thing. So I'm a big fan. Out of all the things that could have happened and has unfolded in that group, but I do remember in that movie like how he was very cognizant of, I think he got burnt really bad on one of the things. And like, he's like, I don't do these painkillers, because of my recovery. And at first I was still drinking. I'm like, well, that's dumb. Why would you rob yourself of that? Or like, you don't trust yourself that much. And it's just different looking at it from the other side of the looking glass at this point. Like, like it was bizarre that he would still put himself into that bodily harm, but that's how they made their career or whatever. But he was cognizant enough to be like, look, I know where this path goes, and this is a decision that I need to make. So he was very protective of that. And I looking back at the longevity of his sobriety and what he's done afterwards, you can easily say that was like, a good decision for him.
Yeah, for sure. And if you haven't checked it out, it's Steve-O's Wild Ride on YouTube. He's got a podcast where he interviews a lot of his old friends who are in recovery and people that aren't in recovery. And he just has candid, non-judgmental conversations with folks.
Yeah, his YouTube video of his descent and right before the intervention
Yeah.
is pretty insane stuff.
I remember watching it. I was kind of panicking while I was drinking, watching that when he was on the nitrous oxide.
Yeah,
Just
the whippets. Yeah, the bottles everywhere.
crazy.
Oof.
Anyway, good for
Jeez,
Steve.
that's horrible.
Okay, let's pull ourselves back on track here. I got to do my
40 minutes in.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's get the show started. So good gratitude shares. Let me do mine.
Yes.
Uh,
yes.
I was thinking about this morning on my run, as I do all the time, and that is when I'll be talking about gratitude in a sense of always the days after for a long time, that I don't have to go through those anymore. So last time I talked about, the flop sweats on a Monday mornings, going to work with anxiety and all of that stuff. The gratitude I have today is for not having to wake up. Me waking up with a hangover and the depression because of my wild dopamine withdrawals that were happening, because I'd get so fucking hammered all the time, especially like on a Sunday morning. I would wake up and I'd be shaking and crying in my pillow. I've said that before. I'll always repeat that because that happened a lot, especially towards the end. But so that was me dealing with me. But then Judy would get up to go to the bathroom, and me watching her try to like shadow move across the floor, and just her going through her own suffering would break my heart. It was so hurtful to me because I didn't know how to compartmentalize any of that. And I always used to think that I was half of the reason why she was doing that too. So I didn't like seeing her hurt, and I didn't like seeing her spirit and soul getting slowly smashed by what we were doing. And if we would have just, well, there's no woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's not what the whole thing is about. But I remember a lot of times like, we should talk about this. But I didn't have the courage to do that because I was dealing with my own stuff. But I felt really sorry for her and me and what I knew it was doing to our relationship, especially towards the last couple of years of that. I would watch her coming back to bed, and I would want to reach out to her and tell her, like, we got to stop this. Otherwise, I think you and I are going to be heading down a path that we can't fix. But I didn't know how to do that. So I have gratitude for not having to go through that shit anymore. And now when we have something that Judy and I need to talk about, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Without
we
fear.
have the tools to talk about it.
Yeah. So if you're in one of those stages right now to where you think you might want to quit because it's having a detriment on you and your relationship, take a deep breath, wipe away your ego, and just have a discussion with your spouse and say, hey, it's time we look at doing something a little bit different because this insanity is not working out. So
Truth.
Thank you very much for sharing, honey.
felt good. Okay. Let's get into, I love you, babe. Oh,
Love you too.
Patrick, my dear friend, thank you for being here. We didn't even do our intros. Judith, my beautiful bride. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. This is part 4 we've deemed part 4. Remember, we're watching Dr. Joe Dispenza, one of my favorite neuroscientists. He did a quick series about stress is killing you. This is why and what you can do. We did like kind of 3 or 4 minute segments of this 13-minute video. And so we're at 9 minutes 50. We're going to get through the rest of it here. Let me pause this. Our jams, Harris Heller stream beats, copyright free to use on your streams. And the FBI won't come kicking down your door and taking you to fucking jail for using copyrighted music.
Dang.
I know. Harris Heller saved your life. Not sponsored. Okay. Let's go to our browser view.
Turns out most people spend 70% of their life living in survival and living in stress. So they're always anticipating the worst case scenario based on a past experience. And they're literally, out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, they're selecting the worst possible outcome, and they're beginning to emotionally embrace it with fear. And they're conditioning their body into a state of fear. Do that enough times, body has a panic attack without you. You can't even predict it because it's programmed subconsciously. The hardest part about change is not making the same choices you did the day before, period. And the moment you decide to make a different choice, get ready, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. I think that the bigger thing is that we keep firing and wiring those circuits. They become more hardwired. So you have a thought and then the program runs. But it's the emotion that follows the thought. If you have a fearful thought, you're going to feel anxiety. The moment you feel anxiety, your brain's checking in with your body and saying, yeah, you're pretty anxious. So then you start thinking more corresponding thoughts equal to how you feel. So the body says, I want to return back to familiar territory. So the body starts influencing the mind, and it says, start tomorrow. You're too much like your mother. You'll never change. This isn't going to work for you. This doesn't feel right. And so if you respond to that thought as if it's true, that same thought will lead to the same choice, which will lead to the same behavior, which will create the same experience, which will produce the same emotion. And when people say to me, well, I can't predict my future. I'm in the unknown, and I always say the best way to predict your future is to create it. Not from the known, but from the unknown. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate in one day? The act of rehearsing them mentally, closing your eyes and rehearsing the action. By closing your eyes and mentally rehearsing some action, if you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between what you're imaging and what you're experiencing in 3D world. So then you begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like the event has already occurred. Now, your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. And if you keep doing it, priming it that way, the hardware becomes a software program. And who knows, you just may start acting like a happy person. And then I think the hardest part is to teach our body emotionally what the future will feel like ahead of the actual experience.
There we go.
There it is.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, I like the fact that he said, you know, when you start doing this, then get ready because it's going to be uncomfortable. I was like, yeah, I can totally understand. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you know what? Everything in life is a little bit uncomfortable. If you're, you know, if there's a big change there, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. But holy cow, the effects of it are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, part of that too, for me, what I heard was that, like, or resonated with, was how the brain and emotions can create that feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it came to me as like, especially in drinking, you know, I remember those last stages of like being like, I should quit. I don't like, you know, like the woe is me, like just,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like I was crapping on myself so much that I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep drinking. And I felt like, because that was my only dialogue, that the alcohol was the only relief to that at a certain point.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you just stay in that perpetual loop.
Yeah. And it, you know, like, you know, so for those struggling, I know how painfully that can be reinforced. And it is a leap of faith, you know, to, you know, like you said, the best way is to create your future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like now, like, you know, being able to put that drink down is going to be scary and painful and a whole bunch of other items wrapped up in it. But because there's just so much unknown, but that's going to be the only way to break that cycle.
For sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no.
There was I can't remember what I was reading. It was when Judy and I got into the easy way to quit drinking when we read that book.
Alan Carr.
Yeah, Alan Carr. Really good stuff. I was about to say the theory behind it, but if you want something good to read, my recommendation is to read The Easy Way to Quit Drinking by Alan Carr. You can continue drinking while you're reading this book.
Yep.
And there's a lot of just good black and white stuff in there. It's no muss, no fuss. But what I remember reading somewhere was that our brain, how I always say it's so we're so complex yet it's just so feeble, just fucking still lizards. We're so vain and so egotistical and think we're so far advanced, but we have so much to learn about the way that the mind works. The alcohol feedback loop that you're discussing is so controlling for alcoholics that you get into that cycle of I need to quit, but I can't. I'll do it later. Blah, just whatever. There's all kinds of shit that happens. But then even just the ritual of going to get another beer, that just by design, the way we survive, it's just like I envision myself going to the garage fridge and cracking open a Heineken, and all of that. I can't do this anymore. Just kind of goes to the side. It doesn't go away, but I'm like, I feel much better. And then to rationalize and watch a commercial with Sam Elliott reinforcing how, grown men drink good beer and that you deserve this. You work hard. And I'm like, oh, yeah. What that whole needing to quit, that's some bullshit. That's the fallacy. This is the reality of,
but
I'm
it's
a good
like,
person. I work hard. Let me just have my fucking case of Heineken and shut the fuck up. But
yeah, it's like how Dr. Joe Dispenza said that, it's the fear of the unknown. And so the emotions kick in and they start feeding the body, and they start feeding the brain that, this is scary. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not worth it. Yada, yada, the whole, spiel of self-doubt and all that kind of stuff. And it's just that portion that's kicking in, those emotions that kick in, the body that kicks in. But once you're able to sit down and engage your brain, it's a lot like being present. It's a lot like focusing. It's a lot like trying to focus on what is present right now, is engaging that brain and engaging it to say, okay, this is lying. This is the lying portion of this whole scenario. This is lying. The emotions are lying. The body is lying. It's all a lie. It's going to feed me until I change what's going on in here. Once I do that, then the body will change, the emotions will change, and it'll start going in the path that I want it to go.
Yeah. Dr. Joe Dispenza talked about visualizing your positive outcome, right? To begin priming, to overwrite.
Yes.
I think that's the Quitlet. You said Alan Carr's, for me, it was Annie Grace's This Naked Mind, explaining that. And so it was exactly what you were talking about, Judy, where I could see when it began to explain it, instead of my body going, you're awful. Like, you can't keep on killing yourself. At a certain point, it was like, hey, this is your body. I began to able to use their dialogue to explain what was going on. Like, hey, this is your body being anxious about needing this stimulus, which comes from the alcohol. So this is to be expected. It's just manifesting in this voice, right?
Yeah.
And so then I could say, oh, okay, and then like you begin to build that, and like, hey, if I'm this far out, my body is going to respond along these lines. It's not going to be perfect, but like understanding that knowledge that they shared really helped that visualization piece, ultimately to what it was, to changing the behavior of putting the drink down, right? So there's that.
It's kind of like that light bulb going over top of your head that says, oh, okay, my brain will lie to me.
Yep.
So I just have to realize what's lie and what's truth.
Yeah, but those lies are ridiculously powerful.
Yeah.
When you're hungover, it's like,
yes.
You know how to talk to yourself the best.
Oh yeah,
you're the best salesman.
Oh, of
for
course,
yourself.
of course.
You're also your worst critic.
Yep.
But you know what? As we've been talking about this, I realized that I sort of appreciate. Remember, I've said there's pros and cons to our dysfunction. Of with mine is my hyper focus on stuff. There's times when that works out very well. There's times when it's not so much. I say some stuff sometimes that they slap in the face of sort of the golden rules of what alcoholics should never say, and that is, I'll never drink again, or whatever, or you're supposed to say, I won't drink today. That's not how I am. I was my thoughts and my being were so profound when I was drunk that it was very powerful. It was so powerful to where I could never imagine myself not being a drinker. It was a core part of my identity for so long. But now that I'm, almost 2 years into my sobriety, my roles have flipped into such a profound way that I can't possibly see myself ever drinking again, because I know all of the pitfalls that are there. I still have these washes of this flirt of me just with one glass of white wine, that pops in once in a while. And I do have that disease discussion that happens at a very subconscious level, and that is, I wonder if I'm healed enough now just to be able to have that one glass. And I know that it's just let me go flirt with the thought real quick. You need to check.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Apparently,
I'll just have one glass.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just have that one glass, and then I'll stop.
And I do just, we always have to play it forward to how's that really going to happen. So anyway, that all said, in a bad jumble, is that I have a profound desire to not drink. It doesn't give me any satisfaction. That I'm so much happier being happy, and I'm in a much healthier place. But for those that are going through this, don't freak out when that dude jumps on your shoulder and is like, hey. What if Ben Affleck did the same thing, as he struggled with his alcoholism? He's like, I've been sober for a long time. I wonder if I could just have a glass of wine and be a normal person. Not going to happen. So.
No, our normal is not that.
No. But I'm proud of where we've all ended up and where we are. And
yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, I have a lot of work to do still, and it's just part of the journey. It's going to be never ending, because I've talked on this show many times about my surprise and my disappointment about my first couple months of sobriety and where I ended up with mental health issues. And I worked through that, and I got to a place now to where I still have issues. Those are the cookies.
Yeah.
What do you want? You want to have Becca come in and deliver the cookie? Wait, this is not safe. I don't know how this works.
They're running out. So.
Oh. What are we talking about here?
Babe, will you run down to the door and grab cookies for us?
Cookies?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry for the distraction, everybody. Is this an Inception? Is she watching live on the show from her car?
She doesn't watch the show.
Okay.
She's a normie. Different dialogue for different people. So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I think that is the end of the show. The dogs, here's Nessa giving us the whatnots and telling us it's time to shut it all down. So this has been a fantastic discussion. Thank you for all for joining. Hey, I was going to show you. Look at how many we have. Whoops, wrong button. Check this out, everyone. We have 123,000 views.
Nice.
That's a lot of, just imagine, that's like a Rockfest stadium that we're sitting in. 123,000 people have looked at us. So good for us. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Dad and Michelle have their weekly call on the video streaming device. I was gonna name her name, but then I think a bunch of things will go off in here. So
Those cookies look really good.
oh man,
Apparently they're crumble cookie birthday cake.
Yeah, they look like like
chose
sugar
it.
cookies with birthday cake frosting on the top.
oh yeah,
It looks really
The
good.
kids chose it, so
non-health cookies for sure.
That was very kind of them for them to make us cookies.
Oh, Michelle says they rescheduled till tomorrow. Michelle, you'll find this amusing. I got to call Dad out. I was sitting out there cooling off from my run, and he's like, hey, if you and Patrick and Judy go past 11, Michelle and I are going to have to drop off and have our video chat. And I was like, really?
You're both
I called him out. I'm
watching.
like, I think Michelle will be okay if you're 10 minutes late. You guys, he's like, oh.
that's important too.
I'm like, shit,
Oh,
what
that's
is?
funny.
All right, let's wrap it up. Good
All right.
discussion. Let's
Good
do it.
discussion today. Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to finish that one. That was really, I liked that video. I could watch that video over and over and over again, and I would still I'd still get that happy high feeling from it.
Though Dispenza.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll run these by you. So I have a segment from Huberman that Dr. Huberman that we're gonna start to unravel, and we'll get into those discussions and continue this mental health journey. And for us and others, been getting
Thank you everybody for watching and subscribing. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If we're able to help at least just one person, that's all.
Yeah,
That's it.
I got a bunch of comments on the videos that I go through, and I try to respond to them, but we have helped some people, so that's good. Not this content for, just like, I don't want to be that ego of, I have helped somebody. I've helped myself, and Judy's helped herself, you've helped yourself, and we share how we've helped ourselves.
This is definitely my therapy.
Yep.
Our therapy, I guess.
It's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do the outros.
If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Hotline at 988. Also, if you need help with addiction recovery for yourself or someone you know, please check out Al-Anon. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. You are loved.
Thanks for listening. Check out the Sobermind live stream at youtube.com/@Sobermind.
Thank you.
Thank you, friend.
We'll talk
Thank
next
you, guys.
next time. Love you all. That's it. Don't know what
See you
else
next
to
Saturday?
say. Yeah. Hey, stay cool. If you're in the
Yes.
Midwest, especially. So
Chill out.
yeah, we'll see you next. Yeah, chill out.
Literally.
We'll see you next weekend. Oh, babe, a little bit of change. So they're after the show. I gotta let Brian and Laura know that we're gonna move our meeting from noon to 1, so that way.
Okay.
Patrick, are you bringing the family?
Sure.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, either way it was, but you don't have to move it for us. We can always just join late too.
No.
No,
As
that'll
you're
give
going
us
through
extra
this,
time,
this
too.
barbecue and smoking journey, you'll see with the salmon. It's fresh off the smoker. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes 2 hours, so just a little strategy
It's
behind
lovely.
it. You don't wait. You don't want to be that person that's coming in. Oh, smoked salmon and chive and onion cream cheese.
Ooh.
And then I'm gonna grill some gigantic tiger prawns. They're like this big.
Nice.
Yeah, some variations of that. Do all the kids like the seafoods?
It'd be nice.
You want me to pick up a Happy
They'll
Meal
do like
for
the popcorn shrimp.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
We'll have
they'll
other
do
stuff there
salmon
they can
for
munch on.
Okay. All right.
sure. I know they love salmon.
We'll figure it out. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Take care of yourselves and be kind to yourselves. Be patient. Fucking be nice to yourself. All right. You got. Got a lot of growing to do. Be gentle. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.